Hi, welcome back. This is part 2 of the Zimby Mojo rules overview. Let's crack on. We'll talk about these obstacles as we deal with them in the game, and there's more obstacles that you can place to scupper your opponents and stuff. There's great stuff, patches of darkness and things, but we'll deal with them if they crop up in the game. I'm sure some will. Right, Fugs. There's a fantastic AI system where the Fugs are going to patrol while the king's alive and well. They're going to patrol this outer area here. Just keep going around here. And what they'll do, basically, there'll be 1d6 rolled and say, starting even at number 1 here, and the start player will roll and he's going to move 2, and they're going to move round, and they're going to make life difficult for the Zimbies coming in, trying to get to these seals to open a path up in. Because if a Fug engages in combat, they're quite tough. And they can even form a column, but they'll only stick in a column once they get the crown, or if they get the crown. It is possible, it has happened. If Fugs manage to get the crown off you, they will try and make their way back to the Blood Mist and make a new king. It's nearly happened in a game we've played. So the Fugs are going to patrol this area, but once the king is killed, the Fugs will make their way to these quadrants, and they'll make their way to the first quadrant, and you can see the feet here. Each one will patrol a different quadrant, and they will move, and they will, not only that, they will move at 2d6s, so they're going to move quite a lot. I mean, well look, 12 that would move, and these obstacles would invariably quickly disappear once the king's been killed, so they'll patrol these outer areas. Just happens to be the areas that you want to get your Zimbies with the crown to get off the board to win the game. If you defeat a Fug, he's only knocked out temporarily. They're killed or knocked out, and they'll go to these barracks tiles here, and on refresh they'll randomly come in on a portal and make their way to the quadrants again, and they will always move in the direction of the patrol routes. An advantage sometimes of killing a Fug and putting him out onto one of the barracks tiles is that the king's strength is 1 plus, or his brutality I should say, it's 1 plus 1 for every Fug in play. So if all the 4 Fugs are alive and well, and none of them on barracks tiles, the king's strength is 5. His brutality I should say is 5, you know. So he's automatically got 5, and then you rolled a 2. That's 7. So you're going to need to do 7 damage to him to take him out, because damage with all of the creatures has to be dealt in one swift blow. There is no damage markers to put on. So if he's got 7 needs to take him out, and you did 6, none of it counts. He's going to be alive and well. Every creature will go into that combat lock situation that we discussed, other than the king, and the king will never fight somebody unless they're in his way, which is if they're in the king's way of when he does a ritual. So I think if we could just go through the card here, and this card here, sorry, and discuss the turn. So we would start in this box here. To start the game, there would be the Shaman's Turn. On the Shaman's Turn, we're going to want to get Zimbies out onto the board. We've discussed how you're going to do that. You spend Mojo, and you can warp them in or bring them in on the board. The optimum way is in columns of 2, because they'll move up to 4 tiles per Mojo. You can spend active Zimbies on your board to use as Mojo. They'll just be depleted, but they'll get refreshed during refresh, as will the Mojo itself. Also, on your turn, you can spend 3 Zimbies, deplete them, to bring a new Zimby, spawn one from over here. So deplete 3 on your tribal board to bring a Zimby in from the far shore, but he comes in depleted. And you can do that a maximum of twice per go. At this point, you could also make a zombie now, or spawn a zombie. The rules for doing that: one of your zombies has to be on his own, and you kill off, sacrifice 2 zombies, 2 active ones from your tribal board to the far shore. They're gone, and now you can replace one on the board with a zombie. Now that's cost you, in effect, 3 active zombies, 1 from the main board, 2 from the board here. But zombies are pretty cool, they're pretty hard, and they shamble and stuff. We'll deal with them in gameplay, but that's another thing you can do on your turn. You can attack and spawn your zombies and make your way here. Now how you get to the inner sanctum and open up one of these seals, say these thugs were all around doing their patrols. You were in a column with the brown and the blue were in a column of 4. Together, on Blue's turn, he moves adjacent to one of these seals. You can see here. When they become adjacent to it, it is the blue and the brown would have to pay 1 mojo each. So you can keep mojo on your board even at the end of your turn and say that's the end of my turn. You would definitely do that in this case if you had a plan. You can talk to the other players that you're going to flip this seal over, and it will match one of these 4 elements here. It's either going to be water, earth, air, or fire. Whichever one it matches. Say it matched the air one would be removed from the board, and there now is a way in to kill the king. Now, if we killed the king where he is, you move into the tile because you're the attacker, and if you go into the blood mist, so say we were here and we managed through scroll cards and through our strength here, and we killed it. Now one thing on strength I should mention is, let's say it was this 3 blue. Here's a thing on strength. If it was the blue player and he's attacking, he gets 1, 2, 3, but only +1 for each different tribe in the column. So these zombies here would have a brutality of 1, 2, 3 for the blue if the blue was attacking, and only 1 for the browns, even if there was 3 browns in there, because it's one of a tribe. If there was a yellow in there as well, it would be the 3 for the blue if the blue was attacking, +1 each for the 2 different tribes, so it would be a brutality of 5. Now, what is cool, if the Zimby column is on its own, just 1 tribe, he can cannibalise himself, so eat one of them, for +4 brutality. But that +4 brutality has to be used immediately in an attack. He could actually do it again, and it's cumulative, eat another Zimby for +8 brutality. So right now, he would have 9 brutality to take on the king. Of course, he cannot eat himself, so he'd have +9 brutality. If you manage to kill the king, he'd go onto the blood mist and he'd die, because the blood mist delivers 1 wound. But if he went in like this, 1 would die and 1 would stay there. If a column went in here to the blood mist, which one would die? Because it's a multi-tribe column. They go into the bag of fate. So we got a yellow and 2 browns and a blue, and this happens if any wounds dealt to a column with different tribes in it. They go into the bag of fate. It's really neat, and 1 is drawn out at random, and that will be the one that dies. If there was 2 wounds, you could have a column with lots of different zombies in there, and 2 or 3 wounds, then 2 or 3 will come out, and they'd be the ones that were killed. And that's how that works. So you take, once the king is dead, there will be his crown. You can pick up his crown. There is a weight on the crown. The first turn that the king is killed, things are going to kick off. For one, the crown is going to weigh +8, so it's going to be extremely heavy. So +8, with your even 1 Zimby on his own, that is going to make the crown, the weight of this, 1 for the Zimby, +8 for the crown, that's 9. And 9 or more is 1 tile for 4 mojo, so it's going to be very slow to escape. But on the first refresh, that +8 for the crown goes down to +4. After the second refresh, it goes down to +2 and remains at +2 for the remainder of the game. Another thing you can do, we were on about cannibalizing. You can cannibalize from your tribal board itself. Cannibalize a Zimby. He goes to the far shore. He's dead. He's been eaten. And you can either get a scroll card or get make active 2 mojo, and you can do that up to twice on your turn. After the shamans have had their turn, and there'll be instances that crop up that we will talk through as we play the game. This is just for a grasp on the game. There will be the Fug's turn, and of course when the king's still alive, each Fug's going to move and patrol this one route here with the red footprints, D6 each Fug. Once he's dead, they're going to make their way to and fulfill each quadrant at 2d6. After the Fug's turn, and oh yes, and if they're adjacent on their movement, as soon as they say there was a Zimby here, and this Fug moved, and he was going to move to here, but he would stop as soon as he engages with a Zimby. He would be adjacent to it, or even a zombie for that matter, and he would combat would ensue at the combat phase of the Fug's turn. So Fugs move and then Fugs attack. Then there would be zombies move and they would attack. So if you had a zombie on the board, a zombie will move a d6 and he will shamble towards the nearest living creature, and that can even be a Zimby of your own tribe. They're not bothered. They're dead and they just want living flesh. You can pay one of your mojo to stop your zombie shambling altogether, and on your turn you can actually control a zombie, and for 1 mojo move him 2 tiles. We have wrap up. Wounding obstacles will cause wounds. We determine the first mover for the next turn, and that is done by the player with the most active Zimbies left on their tribal board. If there's a tie, then we'll just roll the die to determine who's going to start first. We discard down to 6 cards. Then we'll have the refresh, where we activate all depleted mojo, all depleted Zimbies on the tribal boards, flip over obstacles if the king's has been dead, and then every player, every shaman, draws a new card each turn, and then we have the king's turn. So this starts on round 2, the king's turn, and there will be a d6 rolled. Sorry, a d6, a d4 rolled, and here we have a 4. So here's quadrant 4, and the king will move to here, and this ritual will be flipped. And remember, there was 8 rituals, and these are 4 that were randomly put down. And one of the rituals, which will do really cool stuff, will happen on the next turn. And the king's rituals are mandatory, and there's nothing to stop them. On the next turn, the king will move back to his blood mist. Consequent turn, random, and he will move to another or the same ritual and do his rituals. And then we have the shaman's turn again. And I think pretty much, I'll just look through my little notes here. There's going to be some other stuff. There's quite a lot going on, as you can see in this game, but I think more or less that's a quick overview of how the game works. The only thing to illustrate, and that will be in gameplay, is just how well these cards are going to. You can see there's all these cards. These are really going to affect battles and and the outcomes of them. And it's going to be cat and mouse, and people are going to team up, and there will only be one winner. So come and join us back. The next video, where we'll reset the board so it's all perfect and ready, and we're going to start the first round of gameplay. So look forward to that, and we'll see who's going to win. Thanks for watching.